How's it going, everybody? Dater here with North Central Coins, and welcome back to another episode of the most rare and valuable coins in Canada. Today we're going to be discussing a few of the rarest coins of the same variety that were both struck exactly 20 years apart. The Canadian 1965 and 1985 pointed 5 pennies are both extremely significant and sought after pennies in the Canadian numismatic world. Even though these 1-cent coins were produced by the Royal Canadian Mint 20 years apart, they both have an identical variety, and because of that can be worth some good money. Also, because these coins have the same variety and the same final digit of 5 in their date, it makes looking for them pretty easy, and this is one that you actually have a pretty good chance of finding if some pennies somehow manage to make their way into your pocket change or you are coin roll hunting. In this video, we will explore the historical context surrounding the production of these two rare and valuable 1-cent coins and delve into why they hold such importance in Canadian numismatic history. Additionally, we will discuss the distinguishing and identifying features, its significance among collectors, and also its potential value if you were ever to find a legitimate example. Before I do get into this, I would really appreciate if you guys would hit that thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and also hit that bell notification so you can follow along with my new videos as they are being released. And then what do you say we get right into it and discuss the 1965 and 1985 pointed 5 pennies. Let's get it, guys. The Canadian Mint officially ceased production of the penny in the year 2012. The decision to discontinue the production of Canadian pennies was made due to the rising costs of manufacturing and the declining purchasing power of the coin. This marked a significant change in Canada's currency system and sparked a wave of interest among collectors and enthusiasts. The composition and size of the Canadian penny has changed several times throughout the years. The penny was first introduced in Canada in the year 1858 and was first made of bronze. Over time, the composition shifted to copper and eventually to steel coated with copper. The size of the penny has also varied, with the most recent and commonly known version being 19.05 millimeters in diameter, also known as the small cent. Although the penny was not produced for circulation after the year 2012, it is still made for new collector sets, including specimen and proof sets put out by the Royal Canadian Mint. These sets often include special edition pennies that commemorate significant events and anniversaries. They can also have unique finishes that add visual appeal to the coins. Despite its discontinuation, the penny remains a highly collectible item. Even though they aren't as accessible as they once may have been, you can still find them if you look hard enough. Some of the best places to get pennies to search for these rare and valuable coins in Canada are from the bank, where you would have to go and ask for a $25 box or for some loose rolls and hope that firstly, they actually have some, and secondly, they are willing to break their protocol and give them to you. Unfortunately, in Canada, every financial institution is required to send any pennies anyone has turned in back to the mint to be melted down. Also, companies such as Brinks, who run alloy recycling programs of their own, will also take pennies. Some other places that you can find Canadian pennies to look through are Facebook Marketplace, Kijiji, or you can take a trip down to your local coin shop and see if they have any bulk pennies that you can buy. Now, what do you say we discuss the 1965 and 1985 pointed 5 variety Canadian 1-cent coins? The 1965 and 1985 pointed 5 varieties refer to specific varieties of Canadian pennies that were minted in those years. These varieties are sought after by collectors due to their unique design features and also their limited and unknown mintage. The pointed 5 on these pennies refers to the shape of the numeral 5 on the coin, which has a sharper, more triangular appearance on the end of the top of the serif rather than the blunt 5. Some of the factors that contributed to the creation of this coin include changes in minting technology, artistic preferences, and the need to differentiate coins from previous years. But most likely, the Canadian Mint was either just experimenting or they eventually switched their dies and they wanted to differentiate between these switch. Believe it or not, I have actually found some of the large bead pointed 5 1-cent coins in the past. If you guys would like to see that, I definitely suggest you go check out some of my coin roll hunting videos. But another thing you need to look for if you want to find the rarest of the 1965 coins is also the large bead border. In 1965, there are 4 variations of pennies overall, all of which gravitate around the pointed and blunt 5 and also small and large beads. The most rare of all these pennies is the 1965 with the pointed 5 and the large beads, but the small bead pointed 5 is the most valuable in a high grade, so identifying that pointed 5 is the most important thing. To identify it, you need to look at the end of the top serif of the 5 for the final digit in the date 1965. If the 5 looks like it is either slightly angled or comes to a point, then you have the pointed 5. If the 5 is flush or straight and doesn't come to a point, then it is the blunt 5. Then you need to flip over to the obverse of the coin and look at the beads that surround the rim of the coin. I will give some examples of what to look for in terms of the large beads, but the best way that I can say to identify your 1965 large bead pennies is actually to hold on to all your 1965 pennies, look at them all under a microscope or zoom in very close with your phone and compare the bead sizes. As soon as you find one that you know for sure has the large beads, keep that one for reference. And then we also have the 1985 penny. Although this coin was made 20 years later, it actually has the same 2 variations of the blunt and pointed 5 for its date. The pointed 5 1985 penny is very rare, and it is actually worth more in a low grade state or a beat up condition if you find one of them. But the blunt 5 1985 can actually be worth some really good money if it gets a high grade or it scores in a mid state. To this day, I still have not found one of these 1985 pennies in any condition that would make it worth getting graded or writing home about, but it's definitely a good one to have on your radar. But now that we've given you an idea of what to look for, what do you say we break down the values for the more rare of all these penny varieties, starting with the small beads pointed 5. Now on the low end, the 1965 small beads pointed 5 is not worth too much at all. It's pretty much worth face value if it is at the low end, but this bad boy can be worth all the way up to $1,800. So you see some massive price jumps from that penny. It goes from $285 to $1,810. So I'm guessing that there isn't too many of these that survived in a high mint state. So it is definitely one to keep your eye out for if you find any 1965 pennies in good shape. And then we also have the large bead pointed 5. Now on the low end, this one can be worth around $3.40, even at the very bottom of the Sheldon scale. If it is worn, beat up, and been put through the meat grinder, it is definitely a good one to find, and it can be worth around $13.50 for an AU50. Now in terms of the high end for the large bead pointed 5 1965, it's worth around $21 for an MS60, and this one can be worth all the way up to $1,010, and this is another coin that sees some massive price jumps, so it means very few of these score in the high range, and I have actually found 1965s of all varieties in good shape, so this is definitely a good one to keep your eyes out for. And then we have the 1985 penny. So you are looking for the pointed 5 if you want to make any money on the low end. It isn't worth too much at the bottom of the Sheldon scale, only worth around $1 if it is all beat up, worn, and been put through the meat grinder. It can be worth around $5 for an AU50, and the pointed 5 can be worth up to $267. And then last but not least, we have the 1985 blunt 5 penny. Now this one isn't very valuable at all on the low end. At the bottom of the Sheldon scale, it's not worth much more than face value, but as you start to get into the high range of the Sheldon scale and it starts to get into the mid state range, you start to see some massive price jumps, but it can be worth all the way up to $1,570. Now the price jump there goes from $182 to $1,570. So if you ever submit one of these things, you got to pray and hope to the coin gods that you maybe get an MS65, or you never even know, maybe an MS66, and then this thing can be worth some great money. So there are a whole lot of varieties to look for, but usually you want to look for the pointed 5 varieties, or you want them to be in very good shape if you want to make the most money out of these pennies. Now what do you guys think about these 1985 pointed 5 Canadian pennies? What would you ever do if you found a legitimate example, or if you have ever found any of the coins discussed in this video? Let me know down in the comments. Also, I would really appreciate if you guys would hit that thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and also hit that bell notification so you can stay up to date with my new videos as they are being released. But that is pretty much going to do it for this one, folks. So thank you so much for watching, but until the next one, everybody, peace out and have a good one, y'all.